Rediscover the best in rock.
It's perfectly legal if that's what you're wondering.
You're listening to
The Retro.
Rediscover the best in rock. This is The Retro. I am Phil. That is Inny. And we have a special guest on the line today. Say hello to Jason Evans. He's a hemp farmer and the co-founder and co-owner of Tweedle Farms and TweedleFarms.com. In Oregon, they grow, farm hemp and CBD and sell it to the public. Hi, Jason. How you doing?
I am great. So much so that I really appreciate you guys having me today.
Absolutely. We're excited to talk to you. This is the first time we've ever talked to a legit hemp grower and get to pick the brain of someone that digs in the ground and makes this stuff happen. Right, Inny?
I like the word legit there. This isn't the back alley of 7-Eleven.
Right.
With your dime bag. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, like if I was growing hemp, that would be the back alley. Jason, he's a legit farmer. In fact, you have an extensive history as a farmer, don't you?
Yeah, we started the farm. My partner and I started talks about doing cannabis farming towards the end of 2015.
Okay.
And the 2014 Farm Bill had just come out, and it actually defined it split out the definition of cannabis between hemp and marijuana, basically being marijuana being high THC and hemp being classified as low THC. Hemp was grown, in this country and around the world for potentially thousands of years.
Right.
Used medicinally, but then also, for its fibers to make rope,
right,
and
right.
clothing.
Isn't the Constitution written on hemp? Isn't the Constitution on hemp paper?
It's actually on vellum, but there are a number of documents that are on hemp paper.
See, they've been using it forever.
So
Foundation of our country, man.
So you basically were on the ground floor of it becoming legal and distributable.
Yeah, better lucky than smart, right?
Right,
we just
exactly.
happened to kind of be at the right place at the right time. Both my partner and I had experience. I'm originally from California. I come from a large agricultural family. We grew row crops, mostly stuff for salsa, but we both had experience in the traditional cannabis markets and medical marijuana. And I just saw this as a huge opportunity because CBD was just kind of starting to come online. And at the time, when we first started the farm, we were originally planning on growing, cannabinoid-rich, terpene-rich hemp that was going to be headed for the extraction market.
Right.
For CBD topicals, creams, gummies, you name it.
Right.
And I noticed after our first year that we were pretty damn good at growing weed.
I agree with that. We actually have had a lot of your CBD. You've sent us a ton of it, and we use it every day. In fact, Inny just used some right before the call. Right, Inny?
I did.
Nice.
I did. Without the THC. No THC.
No,
it's too early in the morning for Inny just for that. But give me time. So I can't grow a tomato plant, Jason. Like anything I touch with a green thumb dies. So how extensive is it to actually grow a plant from the scale of one plant to crops like what you do?
Well, in our industry, there's kind of not a euphemism, but they call it weed for a reason.
Right.
That's how it grows.
Awesome.
But frankly, to grow smokable flower, whether you're doing it, for THC or CBD, it's all cannabis either way.
Right.
While it grows up really fast, 90% of a successful harvest and a good farmer happens at the last week of flower, and really the most important parts of having really good high quality flower start the minute you take the plant out of the ground.
Oh, okay.
The the plant knows what to do because, it's been doing it for tens of thousands of years.
Right.
So it knows how to grow. It knows how to produce its big sticky flowers. But to make it ready for retail sale, that's where the secret in the sauce is.
Right.
Because, the getting proper harvesting, proper drying, proper trimming, curing, and then preparing, packaging for retail sale, that's where the difference really shines.
Gotcha.
In a good grower and somebody who's just, putting plants in the ground.
Right.
And, I talked earlier about, our forefathers growing hemp for rope. I would like to also submit that I think they smoked a lot of rope, too.
I think they should
agree.
go back to doing that. Maybe more shit would get done.
So, but it's a wonderful plant. It's got many uses, not just for smoking, not just for topicals.
Right.
But and I think very few people know this. Maybe some health food nuts, but hemp seed itself is one of the highest sources of plant-based protein and one of the richest sources of omega B3s available today. And it's just kind of a shame that a lot of folks have to get their hemp hearts, toasted hemp seeds and whatnot from Canada.
Right.
When we can grow right here.
Yeah, and you say hemp, and a lot of people already put a negative connotation on it, and they go straight to, that's the devil's lettuce. What are you doing with that? That's a drug, and we need to control it.
Well, the good old Marijuana Tax Act and Harry Aslinger and God rest his soul, William Randolph Hearst really put the kibosh on on hemp production for almost a century. But
reefer madness has been going for decades now. Yeah,
but alcohol prohibition only lasted so long. I think we're, hopefully in this decade we're seeing the end of cannabis prohibition across the board.
Exactly.
And hopefully we'll be able to see it, in a number of products, not just you're behind your 7-Eleven street pharmacist or whatever.
Right.
I think the perception gets really confusing for a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand that CBD does not necessarily contain THC or some of the psychedelic aspects of it. And now you've got new terms out there like CBG and this whole Delta 8 versus Delta 9. Can you shed some clarity on what our strains are? I know when I go to the shop, I've got the Lemon Larry's and the OG this and whatever, but is CBD kind of the same, or is it more of a one size fits all and it's just a different power strain depending on what you choose?
Well, these are all great questions, and it's kind of, you asked kind of a 3-part question without even realizing it maybe. But, let's just start from, again, it's all cannabis.
Right.
Okay. You've got different strains. Some are higher than different cannabinoids than others. Some have different terpene profiles than others. But there have been identified over 110 different cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. There are 3 primary cannabinoids within cannabis. If it's high in CBD, it's classified as hemp. If it grows and produces more THC, it's classified as marijuana. There's also hemp that's been bred to just produce CBG, which is called cannabigerol. That is known as the mother of all cannabinoids, because any cannabis plant, whether it ultimately becomes hemp or marijuana, produces CBG first.
Oh,
gotcha.
And then through its life cycle, it produces that CBG and then internally converts it to CBD. And then towards the end of its cycle, if it's got the genetic disposition to, will start expressing more THC. Now, what hemp farmers have done through selective breeding, taken plants that express a certain cannabinoid production priority and then reproduce those results.
Wow.
Okay. So it's just, it's the same way that, humans interacted with wolves 10,000 years ago, and now today you got labradoodles and wiener dogs and everything else. It's just through breeding in traits that you want and breeding out traits that you don't want.
But you know what? That sounds really complicated. I'm glad you're the farmer and you're the expert on the CBD plants, and I'm the consumer, because it works fantastically. And you guys do.
It works well for us too, because I could be the best farmer in the world, but if I don't have people that enjoy what we do and spend their hard-earned money on it, there's no reason for me to exist.
Exactly. Well, for someone like us, it's a great natural alternative as opposed to doing like a pharmaceutical pill that you get on for the rest of your life, and then you're kind of dedicated to that pill, as opposed to doing something that's a little bit more natural. For example, like you said with the CBG, correct me if I'm wrong, but that really helps with like inflammation and that kind of stuff.
I'm glad you bring it up. First off, I'll say this. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
And I'm not a scientist. Okay.
Right.
And currently, CBD is not regulated by the FDA.
Okay.
So me making statements about efficacy or what it can cure and diseases and this and that, it's kind of a no-no in the industry. Now,
gotcha.
You'll see a lot of brands out there that do it, but they care more about dollars than they do about following rules.
Right.
And if you kind of have to take a step and look at that and think, well, if they're not supposed to be saying this stuff, but they do it anyway, what other corners are they cutting?
Exactly.
Now, in that vein, we were talking about other cannabinoids, and you mentioned Delta-8.
Yeah.
Now, I may not have the most popular opinion on Delta-8 because I happen to work behind the scenes and know how the sausage is made. And I'll say this, that while Delta-8 is considered a naturally occurring cannabinoid, it occurs in cannabis in such trace amounts that it would be like turning lead into gold, right?
Okay.
It's more expensive to turn lead into gold than the gold is worth.
Right.
So, if you were to just try to extract Delta-8 naturally, it would be extremely cost prohibitive.
Gotcha.
So what happens is, chemists will take CBD and through an extremely toxic process convert CBD into Delta-8.
And that's exactly what that's what we want to stay away from, because that takes the natural side of, doing CBD or even THC, marijuana. I don't know, I'm not a scientist or even very smart when it comes to words and stuff, but it kind of takes that naturalness out of the process. And I would imagine, like you were saying, you're using certain things and chemicals to extract it, and I don't want that in my body.
Well, and here's the other thing. It goes deeper than that. Is this whole Delta-8 craze has been a two-part thing. It's been a cash grab, and it's also had some serious safety impacts, because the people that are rushing in to produce and distribute Delta-8, whether it's in a gummy or a vape cart or whatever, right, they are by and large, and I would estimate 90 to 95% of the material that, or the products that you see out in head shops and convenience stores, there is little to no safety testing done at all. And every single independent study has shown that 50 to 90% of the products that they sample and test independently also contain amounts of Delta-9, unknown solvents, pesticides, heavy metals, because these people are rushing to get stuff to market through a legal loophole that if you take out the word hemp, right, and put in the word corn, anybody can grow corn, and
Yeah.
Anybody can grow corn for a farmer's market. They can grow it for sale to a grocery store. They can grow it for grain. They can grow it for corn oil or corn syrup. The minute you convert that corn syrup into an intoxicating substance, in this case ethyl alcohol, you no longer are under the purview of the USDA and the Department of Agriculture. You're now subject to the rules and regulations of the ATF and the DEA.
Wow, yeah, no kidding. Holy moly.
So because there are still like a lot of states that do not have a medical or adult use marijuana program, they're driving tons of sketchy product, literally tons, and driving tons of cash through this legal loophole, getting an intoxicating substance into the hands without any ID checks, mind you.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you couldn't, like if I grew 10 acres of corn and converted it all to ethyl alcohol and then sold it in a convenience store in a jar that says Jason's White Lightning derived from 50 state legal corn, the ATF would be all over my back quicker than
they
you could
would.
get.
They would.
You know? So it's a loophole. The states are closing the loopholes, but more importantly is the safety issue. There's already been over 600 calls to poison control centers from people getting sick from this stuff.
From the Delta
because there's just no safety testing because it's getting sold with rainbow packaging, with flashy advertising in convenience stores. So
that's dangerous.
I may not have a popular opinion. I just think this stuff needs to be regulated like marijuana, like any other adult use product that's intoxicating. And I know that's not as fun or as laughy as we like to be, but Delta 8's a kind of a sticky subject for me.
I completely understand that, and I gotta say, it's comforting for me to know that the source that I get my CBD flower from, Tweedle Farms, doesn't even mess around with that, because that kind of regulation, that internal regulation that you do on yourself, that's important to me as a consumer.
Yeah, it's cost us customers, it's cost us revenue. But I got to stick to my guns.
Right. You got to do what's right. Making money is one thing, but you got to do what's right too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's why our customers are so loyal, because they know I'm never going to steer them sideways.
Exactly.
Here's my thing, Jason. If you've listened to The Retro for 3 minutes, Inny is a pretty good stoner and knows how to get there. And my biggest thing is I need to understand what I'm putting in my body, whether it be CBD, whether it be CBG, whatever. This whole Delta 8 and even subsequently the Delta 9 thing, I can't figure out if it's a synthetic, if it's not a synthetic, it's got this chemical process. It automatically turns me off from the get-go.
Right.
I'm like, give it to me solid, give it to me in a nice flour and sticky and let me be.
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Well, I was just going to say, you got to be careful out there, because you could have hemp flower that's been, I guess they try to use euphemisms, so like infused or enhanced, where they're literally just spraying. I see
that everywhere online. Yeah.
So listen, America's a free country, and that's one of the greatest things about us. But that also leaves us with personal responsibility, and not everybody is out there that has your best interest at heart.
That's right.
Whatever products you choose to consume, my best recommendation would be look for, regulatory compliant safety testing. And if they don't have it, don't buy it.
Right, exactly. Someone that started their hemp farming and selling CBD basically on the ground floor when it all started. I've been wondering this, and especially since I've been getting flour from your company. Your company includes an insert letter specifically to law enforcement in your packaging, just in case they intercept it and they open it up. And of course, the CBD flour, it looks just like the marijuana flour.
Smells like it too.
Yeah, and so to someone that's uninitiated, or even someone that doesn't know how to distinguish between the two, you have a letter that says, law enforcement, this is a legal product, this is legal hemp, and you include that in all your mailings. How was that a difficult hurdle to get over as a company, mailing hemp in the mail?
Well, in the beginning, there were a lot of unknowns, right?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, we originally started growing with the expectation to be for the extraction market. We would hand off our material to a processor, and that was it. I saw that there was a hole in the market, that hemp was now legal. We grow good weed.
Right.
People like to smoke weed. But maybe they don't want to get high, because these high THC strains. You take one hit and it knocks your ass on the ground.
Right.
So So when we first started, there were maybe literally a handful of online stores that were selling hemp flower. But, and I'm not going to name names, but they were all based out of Las Vegas or Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
Gotcha.
These are not not cities that are generally known for their cannabis cultivation.
Right.
Don't necessarily got the right temperature there.
They're generally known for pump and dumps and bankruptcy protection and scams.
Right.
That we became the first farm to table hemp delivery company.
Wow.
And to that end, we put into place our NTLE, the notice to law enforcement, as a protective measure, not only to ourselves but to our customers. Right now, that's kind of a legacy thing. It's not really a thing anymore because hemp has become more widely accepted. Our local postmaster knows us very well.
I bet they do. Yeah.
Yeah. When we started shipping, I actually went down there. I met with the local postmaster. I showed him our licensing. I showed him all our safety testing. I showed him, the local, state, and federal legislation regarding the products that we're having the U.S. Post Office deliver for us, and we've had no issues. And to date, our order numbers, we're up in the over 318,000 orders.
Wow.
Since we started this thing.
That's fantastic.
And we've had zero seizures. But a lot of that comes from doing things the right way.
Right. Exactly.
And that's just kind of a mantra around here.
So let me ask you this. You got the note in there. It's fairly clearly labeled. But what about the drug dogs? Do they know the difference between CBD and weed? Like, if I got my CBD, am I going to get it when I cross the state line from the drug dog?
Absolutely not. The dogs don't know the difference.
That's what I was hoping for. Me and Snoopy, we see eye to eye.
Annie and I, we actually use your CBD in various ways. There's dry herb vaporizers. There's infusing it with various oils. Inny likes to infuse hers with coconut oil. And you, Tweedle Farms, by the way, if you want to check out his website, it's TweedleFarms.com. Tweedle Farms offers a ton of different ways that you can buy it. You can buy it in flour. You can buy it in infused oils, concentrates, topical. There is one method, though, that you have on your website that you do not suggest, and I just wanted to bring this up. To me, it makes sense not to consume it this way, but I enjoyed the fact that you said, you know what, I'm going to say this out loud to the world because I don't want people doing it. You recommend not eating raw nugs.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Right? It does sound awful, doesn't it? But I enjoy the thought process of saying, please don't eat it raw just like a nugget.
Well, listen, if we're going back to when I was in high school, I remember that I ate a bunch to avoid detection from a police officer. And I'll tell you what, it didn't get me high, and the reason is that it wasn't decarboxylated, right?
You have to turn it on, right?
Decarboxylation just means that you're removing a carbon and oxygen ring from the cannabinoid, and that makes it active for the body to ingest. Now, here's a hint: when you light it on fire, you're decarboxylating.
Right.
That's why it activates in the dryer, vaporizer, or the pipe or the bong or whatever,
right.
However you're smoking it.
Right.
Yeah, we don't recommend, ingesting it. I'll tell you what, though, I've got customers that will decarboxylate their flour, infuse it into coconut, infuse it into olive oil, infuse it into any number of products. And, we even have like a cooking with hemp series on our blog.
No kidding.
Where we've got different recipes, different. So like if you're new to infusions or if you're new to cooking with hemp, we've got you covered. So it's all right in our blog, and people can reach out to us, and we can send them recipes as well.
That's beautiful.
And personally, I think taking the raw cannabis flower. Now, listen, I'm happy if people want to buy gummies or if they want to buy muscle rubbed or topicals from us, or any of our tinctures. I think it's great. but it's so much more cost effective and fun, frankly,
right.
to do this stuff at your own. So so part of the support of our customers is putting up those informative blogs to show people how they can do it themselves. And the way I look at that is like, look, you can go to a restaurant and get a meal and get service and have it all prepared for you, and you're going to pay a certain price. Or you could go to the grocery store, you could buy the ingredients, right?
Right.
And then make the meal yourself. That's kind of like our Cooking with Hemp series. Or you could go out into the forest and forage for your own, berries and mushrooms and hunt your own game.
Right.
And that's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm the farmer out here. I'm growing all this stuff. And I just want people to be able to interact with what we do on any level that fits their budget, their comfort level, and their convenience level.
Right.
But frankly, I mean, you could spend just as much on an ounce of flour as you would on a bottle of a tincture, but get 3, 4, up to 8 times as much product out of it by making the stuff at home yourself. And that's why we put out those blogs for you guys.
I always tell Phil, if he's going to buy me flowers, they better be sticky, icky flowers. Otherwise, don't bring them home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to smoke a begonia?
Right? I've tried to light my roses from the stem. It just doesn't work. No, sticky, icky flowers. That's the only way any flies.
Jason, we use the hell out of the flour that we get from you. We decarboxylate it. We put it in coconut oil. Inny cooks with the oils. You have a way where you can infuse it with olive oil. We have yet to try that, but we also do the vaporizer, and a fun little trick, that vaporizer, once you decarboxylate it in the vaporizer, you can turn around and then go put it into the oil too, and it works really well that way as well.
Well, and that's a neat thing. There's an acronym out there called AVB, which is already vaped, right? Flour.
Gotcha.
Now, though you are vaporizing the cannabinoids and terpenes, there are still a lot of other constituent components in the cannabis plant that still have nutritive benefit, right?
Wow.
There's still the fats, the lipids, and the flavonoids, and even chlorophyll. If everybody's eating super greens, I'll tell you what, cannabis and hemp is one of the, as I mentioned before, one of the best super greens, on the planet. And we actually have customers who will decarboxylate their flour, infuse the cannabinoids and the terpenes into oil, and then also cook with the decarboxylated flour after it's been extracted, because it still adds a earthy flavor to whatever you're doing.
Completely agree. Right? Inny has made a coffee cake, and it was one of the best coffee cakes. Now, she infused it with, you had CBD in there, and you had marijuana in there too, Inny. And
a lot of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. It was an experimental coffee cake, but I encourage Inny to bake with it as much as possible.
The only problem with it is I don't quite get my levels right, so you had to kind of eat the whole cake to feel any good benefit from it. But it did definitely add a flavor using the CBD infused oils. But yeah, on the THC side of it, I'm not such a great cook. Yeah, I think what you had to consume dietary probably needed insulin from there, from that much frosting.
There's a lot of
if it helps increase your appetite, you start eating a coffee cake, you get high, and you also have perhaps some short-term memory loss. You forgot you ate some coffee cakes, so you eat more. That gives you more of the munchies. Next thing you know, you ate the whole thing.
So, you guys are located up there in Oregon, which is actually a very frequently traveled stretch of road. We're always up the 101. We go up to Washington and back down all the time. We travel a lot. In fact, we're going to be traveling that way for the show quite a bit next summer. So we'll have to stop by if you'll have us. But I had a question for you. That area, it gets a lot of elk, rabbits, bears, right?
We had to spend about $40,000 a couple of years ago to put an 8-foot tall elk fence around the field.
That's what I was looking
for. Really?
Because those bastards love trees.
I bet those are the friendliest, healthiest elk on the planet.
But they're a huge pest for you, so you had to spend a ton of money to keep them out of the farm.
Yes, and the good news is because we own the farm, we also have the rights and privileges to make the delicious, delicious tasting elk walk right into the freezer.
I love it. That's awesome.
So if I come visit, you're going to feed me an elk sandwich? That's not cool.
Yeah, I'll take the sandwich.
I'm totally kidding.
We were just up that way over the summer, like Inny was saying, and I found, now you're not going to want to call elk, Jason, because you want to keep them away, but I found a really cheap and easy way, I think, being the moron that I am, that this is a cheap and easy way to call elk should you want them to come. We sat up in elk country listening to the elk call out in the distance, and I went to AMPM, which is a convenience market, and they have a plastic straw that you put in your big gulps. And when you blow through it, to me, it sounds just like an elk calling out in the distance. Jason, I want to try it on you real quick and tell me if you would take a shot at me if I was in your CBD farm with this straw making noise. So check it out real quick.
I'm sorry, Jason. I normally don't let him brutalize our guests like this, but you're special since you grow weed.
Does that not just sound exactly like an elk to you?
Hold on a second while I get my rifle.
Oh, that's awesome. Jason, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. It's even more of a pleasure to frequent Tweedle Farms. That's where we will continue to get our CBD from, and we've actually started buying CBG from you as well. We love TweedleFarms.com. Anyone that wants to go and look at what you got and what you offer, TweedleFarms.com. It's a great website, and you guys are really fast about sending stuff. I've never had to wait more than a couple of days. It comes straight to me. It's easy. You guys are inexpensive. We love Tweedle Farms, right, Inny?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, guys, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and to get us out to some new listeners out there. And I will say that if I find out that you guys are up in Oregon and you don't stop by the farm, my rifle works not only for elk.
No, we actually we'll have to jump off air and make some plans, but we actually we do frequent that way.
Would love to come see you.
Love to do a tour, maybe do some videos. We can do some social media with it. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, open invitation. Now I do have one question for you guys.
Of course, Inny, load us up.
And this may be my 12-year-old middle school brain talking. Kind of new to the Phil and Inny show, but when I saw the name Phil and Inny and the fact that it was a boy and a girl,
yes,
my like I said, my dirty 12-year-old middle school brain immediately went to Inny and Audi being a boy and a girl. And Phil fills it in, and Inny's got the Inny, and that may not be appropriate. But,
but you're spot on.
I got to know where the name came from.
And if you'd like to know, he's filled me twice. We have 2 teenage kids, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, you're spot on, Jason. We can't get off the dick jokes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I always say dick jokes saved my life. I actually mean it. And then, CBD and THC has made it a better place in life. So there you go.
That's right. Jason.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. What a fantastic interview. You were a pleasure to talk to. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, anytime. And looking forward to seeing you guys next time you make it up here.
We will do that. That is Jason Evans, co-founder and co-owner of Tweedle Farms in Oregon and TweedleFarms.com.
Such a cool guy. And TweedleFarms.com is hooking up all the Retros listeners with 20% off all products, everything CBD or hemp, flower concentrates, tinctures, topicals, and more. All you got to do is put in promo code TheRetro, and they're hooking it up. So keep it rocking with us and keep it rocking with TweedleFarms.com.